You ready?
Mm-hmm.
The following is a special presentation of Granite Sports and KISS 102.7.
Welcome to the Team SMI starting lineup, presented by Team SMI. This evening, Matt Skinner and company will give you all you need to know to get you ready for Friday Night Lights.
This program is also streaming live on the Granite Sports Facebook page.
The Team SMI starting lineup is presented by Team SMI. Also brought to you by State Farm agent Amy Brown, Edward Jones of Carrollton, Douglasville, and Villa Rica, Osier Apparel, Southland Insurance, West Georgia Plumbing, Septic, and HVAC, and West Georgia Technology. Now, let's go live on the air
And on the Granite Sports Facebook page.
to the Mustard Seed Cafe at City Station with your host, Matt Skinner.
And a pleasant good evening, all. We're live here. It's the team starting lineup, Team SMI starting lineup. And we've got Aaron Sones here with me today. It's going to be an absolute blast all season long. On Thursday nights, we're going to have an hour show live here in the Mustard Seed Cafe. We're going to be sitting down with guests each and every week. Aaron's going to be with me for the first couple of weeks. We're going to have some different personalities, I guess you can say, throughout the year and just kind of introduce the Granite team throughout the season. I can already tell you, and definitely don't want to miss out in 2 weeks, we're going to have each of our play-by-play crews be on with us, so that's going to be a lot of fun as well. But, Aaron, good to have you on with me, and football is here. It's hard to believe.
It is hard to believe. It's great to be here, and, you know, this really gets me going, you know, after we had the media day that was so well attended last week. Of course, a lot of people saw that, and then, you know, this here tonight. Football is here, and you know, you can just kind of feel it, and, you know, not just on the high school level, but the collegiate level as well. I think they started practice all across the country, across the region a few days ago.
And Coach Horsley's going to join us here in just a second. He's a staple around these parts, but he just said they went full pads today for the first time, so that's when you really know if the middle school kids are already hitting. That's some big-time stuff. So really excited about all that's going on. We're going to talk to Joey Garrison, a local official, GHSA official. I've known him for a while. Great guy, and he's going to talk to us about some rule changes because each and every year, you know, we always like to question the officials. Well, we're going to actually sit down with a GHSA official tonight and pick his brain a little bit. Around 7:30, 7:35, we're going to sit down or actually be on the phone with Stan Autry of the AJC. Over 35 years of covering sports, local and national, so that's going to be a lot of fun. And then finally, we're going to talk a little bit of college as well before we get out of here tonight in the Mustard Seed.
And that's it? That's it? I mean,
I'm out of breath.
Right, yeah. And, you know, I'm really excited to talk to Joey and, you know, the official because, you know, officiating is always such a big thing, on you know, on the high school level. It'll be nice to kind of really dig in and not only talk about some of the rules, but I want to talk, you know, about some of the process that these officials go through throughout not just only throughout the season, but game day and the off season, getting ready for the year. So it'll be interesting to talk to him. And then with Stan, you know, I can't wait to hear what he has to say about this tough region that the Carrollton Trojans are in. You know, you got Rome and Kell. You know, those are obviously the big, you know, the three-headed monster with Carrollton, Rome, and Kell. Who he thinks out of those three is going to be the leader, because I've heard some people say that maybe it's not going to be Rome this year. We'll see what he has to say about that.
Yeah, and that's all coming up in due time. But coming up right after this, we're going to sit down with Coach Nathan Horsley, and we're going to recap Media Day, which I think was an absolute blast last week. We're brought to the Team SMI starting lineup. It's brought to you by Amy Brown State Farm, Edward Jones of Carrollton, Douglasville, and Villa Rica, Osier Apparel, Southland Insurance, West Georgia Plumbing and Septic, and West Georgia Technology and Repair. We'll be right back right after these words.
Pro Right Red 44. Yo, where's your helmet?
It's
okay,
cool.
no worries.
No pads?
Just give me the ball.
Dude, where are your shoes?
You'd have to be crazy to play football without the proper protection. The same is true when you get behind the wheel. This is State Farm agent Amy Brown, reminding you that sometimes driving is a contact sport. Visit me online at amybrown.biz and make sure you've got the proper protection in your automobile insurance.
Listen, then speak. That's how your Edward Jones financial advisor gets to know you, your personal situation, and your individual goals. Smart answers come from listening to your questions. Let your Edward Jones financial advisor show you the difference. For an Edward Jones financial advisor near you, call 1-800-ED-JONES, visit edwardjones.com, or stop by any Edward Jones office in Carrollton, Villa Rica, or Douglasville. Listen, then speak. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Edward Jones, Carrollton, Villa Rica, and Douglasville. Member SIPC.
Osier Apparel makes it easy for you to outfit your employees in company attire. The Osier staff will work with you to set up a company store online with your logos, approved garment brands, colors, and styles. Once the store is up and running, employees visit the store and order direct within your allotted budget, or can order additional garments on their own within your preset acceptable parameters. You've got enough to do. Alleviate the hassle of outfitting your employees. To find out more or to set up your company store, visit osierapparel.com or stop by their office on Avenue C in Carrollton.
At West Georgia Plumbing, Septic, and HVAC, a family-owned and operated company, we understand the importance of keeping your family comfortable and home functioning properly.
We are available 24/6 for any and all repairs and installations. We honor all military, first responders, teachers, and senior citizens with a 10% discount.
Give us a call at 678-708-8883.
And check us out online at westgeorgiahvac.com and westgeorgiaplumbingandseptic.com.
To God be the glory.
In America, someone's cell phone screen cracks every second.
I'd hate to be that guy.
Face it, someday you'll be that guy. When that day comes, don't send your phone off to be repaired. It takes weeks and costs a fortune. From busted screens to battery replacement, West Georgia Technology repairs phones and computers fast for a price that will make you smile.
Ah, shoot. So who do I call again?
West Georgia Technology, 678-664-0486, 928 South Park Street in Carrollton.
Whether it's a car accident, storm damage, or a fire, when the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you saved money in 15 minutes. In this moment, it doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is that your independent insurance agent and the company that stands behind them have you covered. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit Susan, Gary, and the rest of the crew at Southland Insurance on Corporate Drive in Carrollton or online at southlandinsagency.com.
Back live is the Team SMI starting lineup right here on the Gradic Sports Radio Network and Facebook Live. It'd be nice if I pointed to Joel and actually said we were going back live. I thought we were already live, but here we go now as we're bringing in Coach Nathan Horsley. Like I said, one of my good friends and a staple around these parts. He's going to be with us on the tailgate and in red zone and halftime and whatever we need done in between. I'm sure he'll do it for us. How you doing today, Coach?
I'm doing good tonight, guys. Like I said, it's the first time I've ever been in here, so this is a neat place to be in here. And like I said, looking at this board and everything, so it's like it's a great setup.
Yeah, it's really nice. And the Mustard Seed Cafe folks and City Station have been really great here for us today. So you just got back from football practice, so talk to us a little bit about your middle school team before we get to some high school stuff real quick.
Yeah, like I said, we lost a bunch off of the team we had last year. I mean, it was very heavily loaded with a great group of 8th graders that came through. So it's been, we put our time in this summer and, gotten better. And, of course, the pads have come on. And, it's still trying to get those kids to understand that, when you do rec ball, it's like 6:30 to 8. It's a lot cooler than it is when you're practicing from 4 to 6. So trying to get, them used to the heat and everything. We kind of backed away a little bit today and gave a little bit more of a break, as far as not having the pads on until we actually did a little bit of scrimmaging and stuff today. So, but, we'll have to wait and see. Like I said, it's like I tell them, it's what's going to be their legacy. I mean, what is this team going to be known for? Because this team is not the team we had last year.
Talk about Media Day a little bit. I mean, that was certainly an exciting event that we had in this area. What was it like to sit up on that stage and have Coach and the players as well come up? Just from a professional broadcaster perspective, I mean, you had your hands full all night, didn't you? I mean, you really didn't get a break.
Yeah, I mean, like I said, going that length of time to, to ask those questions to all those guys, of course, trying to get questions about their school and what their kids do and what they did to get their kids ready. We're very blessed in this area, every coach we had was back except for one. And, of course, the one that come in, he's been a head coach at other places. And so to be able to kind of listen to those guys talk about how they've prepared their team, getting their teams ready, and it was interesting to hear a lot of them talk about when things started in December. A lot of people want to say January, but a lot of these guys picked up and started as soon as that season ended. There wasn't no time off to sit and sulk about what happened or what hadn't. And, of course, even with Hurd County winning the championship, for them to be able to come right back in and start the way they've started. And so it's going to be interesting. We get a chance tomorrow night to see one of the local teams, in live tomorrow night to kind of see where they have grown and see what they're going to be like.
And let's start it off with Bowden, because like you said, we're going to get a chance to go and watch them tomorrow, Coach. And they've got a lot of the same kids, but they ain't the same kids as we saw when they came walking through that door at Media Day. The weight room has been introduced big time.
And Coach Finley, that's kind of one of those trademarks he's believed in. And by the way, congratulations, Coach, on expecting another one here in March. And so, getting to, that piece with those guys. I ran into somebody the other day who was kind of talking about this team in comparison to that team from last year. And, that team going 1-9 was really a lot of young kids that probably could have been playing JV.
They could have been 4-6, too. They had a lot of close games, really, that hurt them as well.
They could have been JV other places getting a lot of rep time, but they got true Friday night exposure.
Right.
And like you said, they could have easily been 4-6, which would have got them close to being in the playoffs.
Mm-hmm.
And so, this year, fortunately, Trine lost a lot of kids and gives them an opportunity within that region, because Mount Zion lost a lot, whether or not they can regroup and get more kids into there, that region becomes a little bit more wide open than what it has been in the past.
Let's talk about the coach that's, the one coach that's new to the area, Coach Honeycutt at Villa Rica. Just watching him and listening to his philosophy, he has a lot of energy. I would run through a brick wall for that guy just listening to him up on that stage the other night.
Well, he sold it as a coach the other night. He sold everything as far as, what you would want as somebody leading your kids.
Now, what kind of challenge is he going to have at Villa Rica?
Well, of course, the big challenge right now at Villa Rica, unfortunately, is the region that you're in. You gotta come in, get all those kids, and him changing styles. You've been a wing tee based offense where you've been taking things and playing a lot of things off of play action. But I think he's wanting to come in. He's going to want to spread the field a little bit. If he has to run the ball, kind of get in the I formation, which is a little bit different than what you see with the wing tee concept. And of course, I think in that region you're pretty much going to have to kind of spread the ball. Now, is he going to have the people who can throw the football around? Got to be able to catch it. Got to be able to pass protect. Because as we know in that region with the Kells, the Romes, and the Carrolltons, defensively that region is loaded with folks who can get after the quarterback.
Is it harder as a coach to change philosophies, of a team from a run-based team to a pass team, or vice versa, from a pass team to a run team?
I never really had to go through that until the transition happened when Coach Hostetler left Bowden. When we were a very wing tee oriented team, and then we went into a lot of this zone blocking stuff. A good coach that comes in has got things implemented from the rec league all the way up. And when you've got kids who have been in that program from the time that they were blocking at 7 and 8, knowing what they were supposed to be doing, and then changing that, it makes a big difference. Because I was blessed, had 2 kids who ended up signing scholarships to go there, that in conversations with them, it was a big struggle to get those kids to buy in, even as good as both of them were to be able to go play at the next level.
Well, let's talk a little bit about the state champs, because that's what they are coming in. Hurd County, they're getting into a region play. Callaway obviously bringing a lot back. Bremen, not so much. You got 2 teams in Hurd and Bremen that are going to be kind of fighting for that 2 spot, we think. Who you kind of see coming out on top in the early goings? They seem pretty even to start. Obviously, Hurd brings back 5 starters on defense, and all-region player Trey Owens, who was also announced as an all-state first place today. But what are your thoughts on that region? You can even throw Temple in there, too, with them returning as much as they are and all the injuries they had as well.
Yeah, when you look at that region, you know, of course, you've got the Spencer. Spencer's in there. They got another head coach, and so you've got them. Lamar County hired a new coach. Their defensive coordinator, he took over. And then, like I said, you go to that region with the mainstays, with, Callaway and Bremen and Heard County, and of course with Temple. You look at it, I feel like Callaway's probably the best team in that region. Of course, I have said that before, and Heard County has surprised me before. But
that's a good kind of surprise.
Yes, that's a good kind of surprise, and that's what you would want to, because right now, Heard lost a lot, and so did Bremen. I mean, both of those teams were very senior dominated last year. The leadership they had in different positions to be able to make the plays that those kids made to put themselves in the end. And, hopefully, when Bremen and Heard are hoping that Game 10 means something for them, just like it did this past year. So Coach Russell and Coach Barrett will have those kids ready to go, and that's the one thing that, you can look at it and see that those coaches get everything they can out of the kids they got. And so that's going to be the big difference as to who can get the most out of their kids. And like I said, we don't know what Temple's going to have right now. Temple's got
they played seven quarterbacks last year. Temple did.
Wow.
7
different quarterbacks. I was amazed too.
And they almost made the playoffs. Yeah. Their last 3 games were combined like 12 points with all 3 opponents, and they
said that 20 to 30 something upperclassmen, which is kind of unheard of for what Temple's got there. So Coach Ward's got an older ball team than what he had last year.
And 2 new coordinators as well, with Singleton and Vaughn, I believe, coming in as there.
Coach Lee, And so, like I said, having those guys coming in and that's going to be a different thing. So it would be nice to be able to see 3 of our local teams get in out of that particular region.
Yeah.
Give me a surprise from the local teams, maybe a team that you think could surprise us this year, somebody that we may not be talking about that could potentially make a playoff around there.
Well, I really think the big surprise team is Bowden. If they can put everything together they've got. I mean,
they got the talent.
They've got the talent. They're going to need the ball to kind of go their way a little bit. And, they have the opportunity to really make a huge increase in that 1-9.
Big game against Bremen.
I think, really the big game, I think, for them is go to get Valwood first. Mm-hmm. I mean, those kids are going to get on that big drive. They're going to have to go all the way down to Valdosta and, play in that stadium and get there and win that ball game. Because right now they're on a win streak. They won the last game they played. And so now what did they learn in Game 10 last year to be able to take over here? Because they got a bunch of young kids who are going to have to, really excel. They're going to have to really step up and grow up real fast. Now, I guess my other surprise team this year could be Central. How things are going to be now that Kashif Taylor's come in at quarterback. It's changed things offensively a little bit. They're heavy with 21 seniors this year, which is something they've not, had as far as having that many kids there. One of the bad things they've got to deal with is just the region they're in, because they've got to deal with Cartersville and Sandy Creek and Troop. But, and then you've got a Cedartown who's got that great tailback, who's one of the top ones. And then, of course, Chapel Hill is as tough as they've always been, is well coached and everything that they've got. So, those 2 teams right there, that could be our breakout teams of the year in this area. And like I said, if they can turn around their seasons that they've had in the past.
Awesome. Well, we're getting ready to wrap up here with Coach Horsley. Coach, as always, thank you for your time. We'll see you around. I'm excited to get to hang out and go watch this improved Bowden team tomorrow with you. They're taking on Community Christian. That's tomorrow at 7:30. So we're super excited about that. Coach, once again, thank you for your time.
I just want to see some football.
I want to see somebody hit somebody for real.
I want to see somebody other than my bunch I get to see every day.
Yes, absolutely. Coach, thank you for your time. And when we come back, we're going to be sitting down with Joey Garrison right here on the Team SMI Starting Lineup Show.
Join the 7 million investors who know the difference. For a proactive approach to your individual financial needs, contact an Edward Jones financial advisor near you. Call 1-800-ED-JONES, visit edwardjones.com, or stop by any Edward Jones office in Carrollton, Villa Rica, or Douglasville. Regardless of what the market is doing, we stay in touch. Even when the market's down, we'll call you up. Proactive, not reactive. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Edward Jones in Carrollton, Villa Rica, and Douglasville. Member SIPC.
Stuck in a state of feeling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, your finances, your insurance, your life? Then let State Farm agent Amy Brown in Villa Rica help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Amy, handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. More money, too. Because adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40% and actually help you get ahead. Call State Farm agent Amy Brown in Villa Rica today and get to a better state with State Farm.
Did you know that Osier Apparel offers all-inclusive fundraising web stores? Donors order direct from the store, freeing you from handling money, getting product to donors, keeping track of ordering, accounting, or delivery. Osier will work with you to set up your store. They'll even help with your design. From tote bags to t-shirts, headwear to outerwear, an Osier fundraising website puts the fun back into fundraising. To find out more or to set up your store, visit osierapparel.com or stop by their office on Avenue C in Carrollton.
At West Georgia Plumbing, Septic, and HVAC, a family-owned and operated company, we understand the importance of keeping your family comfortable and home functioning properly.
We are available 24/6 for any and all repairs and installations. We honor all military, first responders, teachers, and senior citizens with a 10% discount.
Give us a call at 678-708-8883.
And check us out online at westgeorgiahvac.com and westgeorgiaplumbingandseptic.com.
To God be the glory.
In America, someone's cell phone screen cracks every second.
I'd hate to be that guy.
Face it, someday you'll be that guy. When that day comes, don't send your phone off to be repaired. It takes weeks and costs a fortune. From busted screens to battery replacement, West Georgia Technology repairs phones and computers fast for a price that will make you smile.
Ah, shoot. So who do I call again?
West Georgia Technology, 678-664-0486, 928 South Park Street in Carrollton.
Whether it's a car accident, storm damage, or a fire, when the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you saved money in 15 minutes. In this moment, it doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is that your independent insurance agent and the company that stands behind them have you covered. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit Susan, Gary, and the rest of the crew at Southland Insurance on Corporate Drive in Carrollton or online at southlandinsagency.com.
And welcome back into the Team SMI starting lineup show. We're sitting down now with Joey Garrison of the West Georgia Football Officials Association. 7 years now.
7 years.
Yeah, that's hard to believe. But 7 years in the business of officiating, and something that we as the viewers of football, and I come from a long line of officials with my dad and my grandfather, but I still give officials a hard time. And that's just how it is. But y'all obviously toughest job. I mean, you can't win with anybody, it seems like sometimes. So talk about your experience as an official. Kind of, I know you started out as a line judge and you've kind of worked your way up now to being a head official. So talk to us a little bit about that.
So I'll just give a brief overview of my career in officiating. All the credit goes back to Trent Ross over at West Georgia.
Yeah.
He used to be in the association. He's the one that drug me out there the first time, got me convinced to go out there and do it. I had been doing flag football over here at the university. But I got in, and right off the bat, you know, a lot of people have to go through the steps of working rec ball, working middle school. Thankfully, my flag football background
was enough.
Skipped all that. So I was on the varsity field from day one, 20 years old, and thankfully I've dedicated myself to it, and I feel like I'm pretty good, and I'm in a pretty good situation now. My association does a lot to support me. So yeah, I mean, it's just really good, you know, at my age, having experience that I have it's exciting. Doing big games, they're exciting. And just, I guess it comes back to the fact that if you put in the hard work, then you're sitting here doing an interview on Facebook and the radio. So,
have you ever missed a call?
Yeah, absolutely.
You know you missed it, right?
I do, and I think some of the coaches in the area know that if I kick something, I'll let them know. You know, I'm not.
That's what I like to hear. That's my biggest pet peeve with officials. If you screw up, admit it.
Yeah.
But how do you let them know? I mean, like, what do you tell a coach? Like, oops, my bad, or, you know, I hope that didn't cost you the game, or, you know.
I'll never say that.
Yeah.
But, you know, I'll go up to them. I'll give them a few plays, because usually I know right off the bat that I missed something, and they're letting me hear about it. So I'll let them vent a little bit, and then I'll come back to them and just be like, Coach, you were right. I kicked that one. I'm working to move on from that play, but just want to let you know that I missed it.
What if one of your fellow officials misses a call and, because I used to officiate,
Right.
Basketball and baseball. I've, never done football, but, it could be an awkward moment when your partner over there missed something,
Right.
and then they don't think they missed it, but they did. I mean, how do you handle a situation like that?
So the beautiful thing about football, especially with Georgia, what we're moving towards is we're having 7 people on the field. And at the end of the day, what we're worried about is getting calls right. So I know at least with my crew, if Matt, if you were on my crew and I came over and I said, "Hey Matt, I think I had a better angle on that. Let's get together. Let's talk about it." At the end of the day, we're just trying to get the right call. It can be difficult with conversations, especially when someone's adamant that they saw this. But if someone's in a better position, they have a better angle, they're looking at their key, the foul happens there, we're going to ride with the person that had the best angle, and then just trust that that person was in the right position to make the right call.
Instant replay is that's something, around a year ago this time, I mean, they were talking about that a lot,
Right.
because of what happened in a state championship game year before last. I mean, what's the update with that?
So in FHS, that's actually one of their changes this year is they're allowing states to use it in postseason. Georgia has elected not to do that.
Okay.
For
Why?
any game.
Any reason?
We weren't given a reason.
Fair enough.
Yeah.
We'll cover that on another show. How does that sound?
I wish I knew the answer. I really don't.
Right.
Yep.
So.
And it's not like, well, I guess you can use it at Turner Field because that's where they're playing Georgia State Stadium.
They
but,
have the capabilities.
They do have the capabilities, but let's kind of go over these rule changes a little bit. One of my, as a broadcaster's pet peeve, and I've done some play-by-play, but I know Aaron here, it's why the huge thing, white on white numbers with the trim is absolutely terrible. They're finally getting rid of that.
Right.
Talk about that a little bit.
So that's going to be a change that happens progressively because
obviously nobody has the budget to throw out and get.
You have some schools that they're lucky to have enough helmets for players.
Right.
So they're putting together these step-by-step changes. They're looking in the year 2022, 2023. But, I mean, it's the same thing. It's hard for you guys to see it. I know it is. It's hard for us to see, and we're right there at it. I think the big reason why they're doing this is whenever they have to go back to film to watch issues with players, if they can't see the numbers, it's a crapshoot on who's causing the problem.
57 was thrown out, not 56 or something like that. Yeah,
right.
You got to know what kid was
important.
thrown out. Yeah.
We don't want any of these kids to be thrown out, but at the end of the day, they're 15 to 17 and 18. They're going to make mistakes. Yeah. And unfortunately, there's penalties with that, but, we've got to be able to see it when it's on film.
Yeah.
Because GHSA, every single ejection, they're going back, they're looking, they're reviewing our reports, they're matching it up with what coaches say. So, it's vital.
Joey, any other big rule changes that we need to be aware of? I mean, and I'm not talking about stuff that as a casual fan you won't notice, but is anything big out there that we need to be looking for?
The biggest thing that the casual fan thinks they know is the horse collar rule. We hear it all the time, anytime somebody's grabbed from the back. The big thing with horse collar, before I talk about the change, is so it's got to be pulled from the back or the side. I think we all know that. But the player actually has to go to the ground, and that's what a lot of people miss. You can have someone that's pulled all the way back almost to the ground, but if they don't go to the ground, then we don't have a foul. The change this year was they expanded it, so now it includes the back of the jersey where the name would be if they have a name, so the nameplate area. So extended from horse collar down to the back shoulder. And then I guess there's 2 more that I would say average fan may be aware of. Legal formation. There's a lot of times in high school where an illegal formation is called just because they had 10 players on the field as opposed to 11. The old rule was they had to have 7 on the line of scrimmage, couldn't have more than 4 in the backfield. So you have your 11. Well, they changed it now where it's just no more than 4 in the backfield. So you can have 9 people out there theoretically. You have your 5 offensive linemen, 4 backs, and it's sorry offense, you guys put yourself in the bad position as opposed to it being a penalty. I mean, because it slows down the game. We know that. We don't like throwing those kind of flags, so we welcome that, and that should cut down on formation fouls. And then the last one is the 40-second clock. It's going to be a big learning experience, I think, for everybody involved. High school's always been 25 seconds based off the ready for play whistle from the white hat, and now it's adapting what the college rule is for the most part, where once the play is dead, that play clock is starting. And
well, that's
rolling.
a big advantage for, I think, some running teams, especially for teams that are constantly running the football. The clock's
Right.
The game clock obviously is not stopping, so that means, you get 40 extra seconds to run your next play.
Right.
So you might see later in the game a team kind of ice the clock a little more because that's an extra 15 seconds you're
Right.
getting in between plays. So
Right.
that's
And-
huge, I think.
And on the flip side of that, I hadn't seen Casey here tonight, but him and I had a conversation after a game last year where, and this was the week after, it wasn't one of my games, where he felt like the consistency wasn't there from the white hat on play clock. And so this should help with any of those issues early in the games and late in the games if you have a close game. Because, I'm not naive to not know that sometimes my rhythm would be off. And I'd have one time where I'm giving the team, 15 seconds between a play, and it's milking that clock. And another team, I'm only giving them 10.
Right.
And that time adds up, and I'm aware of that. So this will help cut any of that out.
Awesome.
Who's your favorite coach?
Am I allowed to ask that or to answer
Yeah,
that?
you're allowed to answer it. Well, maybe not your favorite coach, but is there one that
favorite team maybe?
No. I'm thinking more along. Who's the funniest? You got some funny coaches I'm sure on the sideline. Those that will really engage with you.
So actually, it's kind of sad thinking about this, but Jamie Perry at Holy Ground, I know that they've shut down their program for the time being, but he was always the coach that he'll cut up with you, but he's also knowledgeable of the rules, and he'd be able to ask you questions that actually had a purpose. There's some coaches, and I'm not going to name any of these names, but they're just out there trying to egg you on or trying to pull something out of you that they just want to hear so they can run on with it.
If you can tell us, what are some games that some teams that in the West Georgia Official Association you guys call?
So the best way to look at it is if you take US 27 from Haralson County down to Harris County. We have a majority of those schools. There's a few that we don't have in Carroll County, but otherwise pretty much that entire stretch.
All right, so get out to a local field and watch Mr. Joey Garrison call. We're going to have you on later in the season, maybe during the week, and give us an update on how the 40-second play clock's going, some of the rule changes.
Especially after one of those controversial games where something happens and you're on the field, then we'll bring you in and let you because, the Southeastern Conference officials have gone to transparency now.
Right.
They've got a Twitter feed, so I'm going to expect you to have a Twitter feed. We talk about high school.
I forgot about the SEC doing that.
That's a good thing. From my perspective, I think all officials should be looking to go towards that transparency because we shouldn't have anything to hide.
Awesome.
And speaking of that, are you going to stay on the high school level, or do you have aspirations to?
I'm doing some college, not officially in college. I'm doing spring games, doing some D3 JV stuff. But
will we see you on an SEC football field in
That's
the future?
the plan.
All right, here we go.
Yes, sir.
I love it.
All right, Joey, thank you so much for being with us. Always a pleasure to have you.
Sorry, if you're ever calling a Mississippi State football game,
oh my God,
Hell State.
I got a little bit of money I can slide your way. All right.
All right, well, that's Joey Garrison, the West Georgia Football Officials Association, and go by a field and see him sometime this year, and we'll have him on later on the Team SMI starting lineup right here on the Craddock Sports Radio Network.
Listen, then speak. That's how your Edward Jones financial advisor gets to know you, your personal situation, and your individual goals. Smart answers come from listening to your questions. Let your Edward Jones financial advisor show you the difference. For an Edward Jones financial advisor near you, call 1-800-ED-JONES, visit edwardjones.com, or stop by any Edward Jones office in Carrollton, Villa Rica, or Douglasville. Listen, then speak.
Next thing we're doing,
That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing.
Are we
Edward
good
Jones,
for
Carrollton,
Stan,
Villa
David?
Rica, and
You can talk to me.
Douglasville. Member SIPC.
Pro Right Red 44. Yo, where's your helmet?
It's cool.
No pads?
Just give me the ball.
Dude, where are your shoes?
You'd have to be crazy to play football without the proper protection. The same is true when you get behind the wheel. This is State Farm agent Amy Brown, reminding
David, can you
you
hear me?
that sometimes driving is a contact sport. Visit me online at amybrown.biz and make sure you've got the proper protection in your automobile insurance.
False start rule.
To outfit your employees in company attire. The Osier staff will work with you to set
Yeah,
up
I got
a company
'em.
store online with
Perfect.
your logos, approved garment brands, colors, and styles. Once the store is up and running, employees visit the store and order direct within your allotted budget, or can order additional garments on their own within your preset acceptable parameters. You've got enough to do. Alleviate the hassle of outfitting your employees. To find out more or to set up your company store, visit osierapparel.com or stop by their office on Avenue C in Carrollton.
At West Georgia Plumbing, Septic, and HVAC, a family-owned and operated company, we understand the importance of keeping your family comfortable and home functioning properly.
We are available 24/6 for any and all repairs and installations. We honor all military, first responders, teachers, and senior citizens with a 10% discount.
Give us a call at 678-708-8883.
And check us out online at westgeorgiahvac.com and westgeorgiaplumbingandseptic.com.
To God be the glory.
In America, someone's cell phone screen cracks every second.
I'd hate to be that guy.
Face it, someday you'll be that guy. When that day comes, don't send your phone off to be repaired. It takes weeks and costs a fortune. From busted screens to battery replacement, West Georgia Technology repairs phones and computers fast for a price that will make you smile.
Ah, shoot. So who do I call again?
West Georgia Technology, 678-664-0486, 928 South Park Street in Carrollton.
Whether it's a car accident, storm damage, or a fire, when the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you saved money in 15 minutes. In this moment, it doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is that your independent insurance agent and the company that stands behind them have you covered. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit Susan, Gary, and the rest of the crew at Southland Insurance on Corporate Drive in Carrollton or online at southlandinsagency.com.
And welcome back into the Team SMI starting lineup show presented by SMI. Let me go ahead and run down all of our great sponsors one more time. Without them, we obviously wouldn't be here. So we got Amy Brown State Farm, Edward Jones of Carrollton, Douglasville, and Villarica. I hope Derek Newton, I hope you're watching in Hawaii. Derek works for the Edward Jones here in Carrollton, and we were giving him a hard time because he's in Hawaii this week.
I've got concerns if he's watching this show why he's in Hawaii right now.
Yes, absolutely. Osier Apparel, Southland Insurance, West Georgia Plumbing and Septic, and West Georgia Technology Repair. Coming up now, we're going to try to patch through Mr. Stan Autry from the AJC. 35 years in the business. 35 years in anything is a long time, but 35 years in sports business is pretty huge. Stan, can you hear us?
I hear you. You got me?
Yeah, we've got you. Let's talk a little bit. We've got plenty of questions to ask you. First off, you joined us last week at Media Day. Talk to us a little bit about that.
That was a great experience that you guys put on. Several of those. Really great.
Out of all the interviews you heard, what was your favorite coach that you talked to? Stan, can you hear us? We'll try to call Stan back and try to get Stan on the line. What we'll do is we'll bring on Coach Nathan Horsley now. Have him back. Stan, can you hear us? All right, we'll go ahead and hang up on Stan and try to get him back on. We'll bring back in Coach Nathan Horsley and talk a little bit more about the football season. We obviously discussed earlier some teams that we thought were underrated a little bit, including Bowden and Temple. So talk to us a little bit about maybe another team, Coach Horsley, you might think will have a big season coming up.
Well, one of the big ones that I wonder is going to be how Haralson County reacts, after last year's season in which, you had Traylon Shepard who, posted astronomical numbers last year as far as running the football. And, of course, we all feel like if he'd have got that extra game in, he'd have broke the record. But, they've got a lot of seniors on this team.
Yes.
And they're all pretty good size. And so seeing what they do, how they respond. Of course, they're going to be the road warriors this year because they've got some long, serious journeys to be able to go with what they've got to to travel this year.
Yeah, 6 out of the 10 games they play are on the road this year, and I think David tells me we've got Stan Autry back, so let's try to bring Stan back on with us. Stan, can you hear us? Stan, are you there?
I'm here.
Awesome. Let's try this again. How you doing?
I'm all right. I'm just waiting for my trip to Hawaii with the Edward Jones guy.
Yeah, no kidding. I am as well. Hey, Stan, you were talking about Media Day and, the experience that you had last week. Have you seen anything like that, across the state of Georgia, a group of coaches and players coming together like that to talk about the preseason?
Yeah, a lot of them have those now. The one really close to that in quality was Connect County. They did a real great job. But a lot of times, hardly any time with the players and coaches. It's 10 or 15 seconds and it's over. But the one in West Georgia last week was really good.
Let's talk about Region 7 5A, if you will. That's the region that the Carrollton Trojans are in. Of course, everybody knows, we call it the Southeastern Conference of, 5A football with Rome and Kell and Carrollton just battling it out every year. What are your thoughts on this region? Who do you pick to come out on top? Maybe you give us your top 3 if you would.
Finger right on it. Those 3 teams are going to be there. And you're right about how I think you're right calling it the SMC of Georgia high school football. All 3 of those teams.
I think we might have lost Stan again. Stan, can you hear us?
Yep. Got me?
Very faintly we do.
Is that better?
A little bit better, yeah. Go ahead. Top 3 schools out of Region 7 5A.
I think it's the same 3 you mentioned. Carrollton, all of them compete good again. They'll be
All right, we'll go ahead and try to move on from Stan. We'll try to get him back on a little bit later, possibly. Stan, thank you if you can hear us. We're sorry we're having a hard time hearing you, but we're going to continue talking now with Coach Nathan Horsley and Aaron Sones, kind of moving on from that. And we talked about Haralson County. The one thing I was impressed about them, Trey Lovelace and Caleb Hardiman that came and spoke, well-spoken. Coach Peavy, we, of course, talked about Traylon Shepard, but he also mentioned he had 3 running backs this year that he could rely on instead of Traylon. So that's got to be a big upside for them coming into this year.
Well, that's not as you didn't make yourself as one-dimensional. I mean, that was the impressive thing last year with everybody in the world knew the ball was going to Traylon Shepard, and he was still able to get the yards that he got. And so now with what they're doing offensively, to have 3 running backs now, that's going to make them a lot more balanced and being able to attack where they need to be able to attack at. And, hearing those kids last year to, some of the big games that they won, I believe it was Murray County they talked about, or North Murray, where they went up and, everybody was inviting them for their homecoming game and everything else, and they had never beaten them before and went up there and ended up winning that ball game. So them winning ball games that they hadn't won before in school history is really going to help them, I think, build a winning culture that they need to be able to win there at Haralson County.
Awesome.
Nathan, I want to bring you back in on this Region 7 5A discussion, talking about Carrollton, Rome, and Kell. I've heard some people say that Rome could be down, whatever that means, a little bit this year because of all the talent that they lost on both sides of the ball. I think some of that has to do with the fact that Kell is supposed to be, much better, at least than they've been over the last couple of years, so they may compete. And, of course, you've got Carrollton there. How do you break this region down as you look at it between those 3 schools?
Well, if you start at the one who's been winning it, a lot of those kids that played at Rome were 2- and 3-year starters, and now a lot of those kids, the quarterback was, a 3-year starter?
Knox Caden,
yeah. So trying to find somebody to replace him, that's going to be tough. Then, of course, you got the kid who goes to Georgia Tech.
Griffin,
Yeah, that's going to be playing there, finding those. And then, of course, defensively, they just seem to be bringing kids in all the time. They've went to getting some kids in. Of course, right now in that Rome area, if Rome's winning, that's where a lot of those kids are trying to figure out ways to be able to get into Rome's system right now. And so, yeah, graduation hit them, but I can promise you they're probably going to be pretty deep, or they had been deep enough that, they've been winning a lot of middle school games and, getting themselves prepared. And, of course, we hear about Kale, who's had some move-ins that's moving in that's, is going to make a big difference. They're always the swing team. It's usually them and Carrollton end up being the swing between who finishes second, who finishes third over the past few years. And, you take what they've got and what they've traditionally been doing, and if they've got their move-ins in, is it going to be enough to overtake,
This is my big thing. Villa Rica, we've always tried to get Villa Rica in that 4 spot. And really and truly, last year they had a chance. They had to beat East Paulding on the road, a tough victory or tough game for them. But this year, I noticed on Villa Rica's schedule, they have all 4 of the opponents at home. They've got Carrollton, Kell, East Paulding, and Rome all at home. So Villa Rica really has a chance if they can upset one of those folks at home, maybe catch somebody on a bad week, they might have a chance
to
get that 4 spot this year. And Coach Honeycutt's not thinking 4 spot, obviously, but I mean we can do that here. We can talk about that. But what do you think about that?
Well, I mean, if they upset one of them, they're going to be out of the 4 slot.
Yeah.
I mean, they're going to be up there, and that would be a very difficult matchup for a 1 that's sitting in another region. If you have to draw a Rome, a Kell, or a Carrollton in the first round, to have to get that matchup. And, sometimes, depending on where you fall in there, helps you out with your playoffs because it puts you in a different bracket away from some people. So, of course, it's not really talking about playoffs already.
Playoffs.
But, we can go ahead and kind of look at that. And, of course, Carrollton's going to be Carrollton. You hear things coming out over there that this is the first group that Coach Calhoun's had now that since they came in as 8th graders, now that are seniors coming in. And so now here they are within this system to now see where the Calhoun system is in and what place they're going to be in, because there's a lot of talk over there. This is kind of the best group that he's had. Yeah. And so if that's the case, we're going to see what, they're going to be able to do. And like I said, it's going to be a huge, Rome's kind of the big test for them. If that's the monkey right now. If they can go in and beat Rome
at home,
at home this time, if they beat Rome, then that's going to catapult their season.
Right.
I mean, it's going to, you look at the possibility of them only having 1, and then there's that hiccup game later because you've lost to Rome. But if they beat Rome, hey, they could be 10-0, sitting there waiting. Granted they get past game 1, because I'm sure that's where Coach Calhoun's looking at is that game 1 right now that they've got.
And real quick before we let you go, obviously Bowden scrimmages tomorrow. Bremen's got Rockmart. Temple's got to travel to Pepperell, so a lot of our teams are getting some good opponents early on in the scrimmage. How important is it to play a good scrimmage game, hit somebody beside yourself? So, I mean, you do that all the time. You're getting ready to do a jamboree and do a scrimmage with Temple yourself. So talk to us a little bit about hitting somebody else before it actually is time to start the real games.
Yeah, in that high school level now, I don't know how big a difference that is now, because with all the padded camps that they go to, that now it's not as big of an issue as that you've had in the past about as far as having the contact. But, as we look last year, it helped Bremen out a lot, because Bremen went in and, depending on what scoreboard you look at with them and Carrollton, that was a heck of a ball game. It gave Bremen a lot of confidence. It took them down to when they played Raven County to, put them in that position. And, but sometimes it's not as what you think, because a lot of people, when they went and watched Bremen and Rockmart, you didn't really expect that same Rockmart team to then be turned around and playing, in a state championship. Because a lot of it already.
Bremen had a couple of plays in that game where they could have easily beaten Rockmart. So
a lot of it really depends on how a coach wants to handle it. Some guys go out there and they're trying to find depth to see who can play behind the 1s. Some go out there and because they're keeping score, are going to go out there and try to win and do everything they got. So it's kind of really a lot on the philosophy of what each coach is. The main thing is if you're going to go do a scrimmage, you get out healthy.
Have you ever had a scrimmage where you're like, oh, goodness, this is not going to go well?
Yeah, Coach Hostetler never worried about a scrimmage. I mean, it was just never a big thing. And so, boy, it's like, he was just like, well, we'll be all right. We'll be fine. And we're all sitting there scratching our tails and trying to figure out, like, what's he talking about? Next thing we know, we're round 2, round 3 in playoffs. And I'm like, whatever he did was working. So we could never fault him.
That's one guy we need to get on the show, Coach Hotsteller. We got to get him on here and talk to us about football.
I'm sure you'll probably get him on here one night. Now that he's not coaching now, he's not helping Evan. So he'll be around.
All right. Well, Coach, we'll talk to you tomorrow.
All right. Be excited.
Yes.
Go down to Bowden. Gonna go to the Southern Lady.
Yeah, get us some good food at the Southern Lady.
Thanks for pulling double duty for us tonight.
Hey,
Come on
all
again.
right. Hey, I'm here. We're talking football. I can handle that.
Yeah, right. Absolutely.
That's an easy one. And get to see you. I hadn't seen you in forever.
Absolutely,
I see
man.
these guys all the time.
Yeah, it's the Team SMI starting lineup right here on the Graddick Sports Radio Network.
Join the 7 million investors who know the difference. For a proactive approach to your individual financial needs, contact an Edward Jones financial advisor near you. Call 1-800-ED-JONES, visit edwardjones.com, or stop by any Edward Jones office in Carrollton, Villa Rica, or Douglasville. Regardless of what the market is doing, we stay in touch. Even when the market's down, we'll call you up. Proactive, not reactive. That's how Edward Jones makes sense of investing. Edward Jones in Carrollton, Villa Rica, and Douglasville. Member SIPC.
Stuck in a state of feeling behind? Struggling to keep up with your kids, your finances, your insurance, your life? Then let State Farm agent Amy Brown in Villa Rica help you simplify and get to a better state. Because with Amy, handling your auto, home, and life insurance, you'll have more time to handle everything else. More money, too. Because adding State Farm policies can earn discounts that could add up to 40% and actually help you get ahead. Call State Farm agent Amy Brown in Villa Rica today and get to a better state with State Farm.
Did you know that Osier Apparel offers all-inclusive fundraising web stores? Donors order direct from the store, freeing you from handling money, getting product to donors, keeping track of ordering, accounting, or delivery. Osier will work with you to set up your store. They'll even help with your design. From tote bags to t-shirts, headwear to outerwear, an Osier fundraising website puts the fun back into fundraising. To find out more or to set up your store, visit osierapparel.com or stop by their office on Avenue C in Carrollton.
At West Georgia Plumbing, Septic, and HVAC, a family-owned and operated company, we understand the importance of keeping your family comfortable and home functioning properly.
We are available 24/6 for any and all repairs and installations. We honor all military, first responders, teachers, and senior citizens with a 10% discount.
Give us a call at 678-708-8883.
And check us out online at westgeorgiahvac.com and westgeorgiaplumbingandseptic.com. To God be the glory.
In America, someone's cell phone screen cracks every second.
I'd hate to be that guy.
Face it, someday you'll be that guy. When that day comes, don't send your phone off to be repaired. It takes weeks and costs a fortune. From busted screens to battery replacement, West Georgia Technology repairs phones and computers fast for a price that will make you smile.
Ah, shoot. So who do I call again?
West Georgia Technology, 678-664-0486, 928 South Park Street in Carrollton.
Whether it's a car accident, storm damage, or a fire, when the unthinkable happens, it doesn't matter if you saved money in 15 minutes. In this moment, it doesn't matter if your neighbor has the same insurance you do. In this moment, what matters is that your independent insurance agent and the company that stands behind them have you covered. Auto Owners Insurance, the no-problem people. Visit Susan, Gary, and the rest of the crew at Southland Insurance on Corporate Drive in Carrollton or online at southlandinsagency.com.
And welcome back here to the Team SMI starting lineup. And we're at the Mustard Seed Cafe right here inside City Station. I think the church service just let out. We're starting to get a good little crowd in here, and we appreciate the folks at City Station. We're going to be here until hopefully the end of November. That's the plan. Is we've got a little guy coming back behind us. Oh, man, that's hilarious. But let's talk a little college football real quick. I hope he doesn't tumble this thing over on us. But let's talk some college football. The University of West Georgia kicked off their fall camp with Coach Dean. Day 4 was today. Some exciting things from the Wolves. Unfortunately, and here we go. Unfortunately, the training camp it's getting I've kind of lost my words, sorry, but training camp is going to be wrapping up here in the next couple of weeks. And their first game is actually September the 7th at Catawba, and really excited about some West Georgia Wolves football. But let's talk a little bit about some Division I football. we had a story that we put out earlier today on our Gradic Sports Facebook page, and it had to do in regards with Dabo Swinney and Kelly Bryant. So Kelly Bryant, obviously, they just won a national championship, or the Clemson Tigers did, and Dabo Swinney is not giving him a ring. And I have an opinion about it. You have an opinion on it. Let's hear yours first.
Yeah, you know, and I don't understand why Dabo is, you know, kind of going there with this. He's being as public. And, of course, we heard him come out and, you know, criticize the SEC in an article or in an interview with Chris Lowe a couple of days ago, and, you know, fired up the Alabama fan base. And, you know, I don't understand why Dabo just doesn't give him a ring, because, you know, he comes across, he has this persona that, you know, he's a good old boy, he's his player's coach, everybody loves him, and all of a sudden he has this hard line, you know, towards a player that, you know, yes, Kelly Bryant left the team, but coaches leave their teams all the time. And, you know, I think it's a double standard to criticize a player for doing something that's best for him in his career professionally. And did Kelly Bryant not, you know, help them win 4 football games last year that had they lost one of those games, it could have impacted their chances for a national championship?
See, for me, I take the other way, just because the one thing I do agree with you on is the way that Dabo did take it public. I agree. I felt like that can be handled in-house. That doesn't, and of course, somebody probably leaked it. I'm not saying that Dabo said that. It was probably leaked by somebody else. But he kind of like Justin Fields, you can say. If he obviously played in a bunch of football games, but he was saying he was leaving the team or whatever. So
I think it's a bad move by Dabo, because, you know, when you go out and you're recruiting players and you're in their homes and stuff like that, I mean, it just makes them look small, I think. And, you know, of course, I totally get it. You know, stick with the team, stay with the team, and you get a ring. But it wouldn't have hurt a soul. It wouldn't have hurt his team. It would not have hurt him as a coach had he given that ring to Kelly Bryant. I mean, that's just kind of how I feel about it. But, you know, I'll say this. You know, you look at the college football landscape and what we have, you know, coming up. You know, everybody's talking about Alabama-Clemson. We're going to see a rematch of those two. And this is, you know, something that we can carry over into the show next week or something as we talk about college football a little bit more. But, you know, I think if college football does not open up the playoffs, you know, to 8 teams right now, we're at 4, open it up to 8, we're going to lose, you know, some of the fans out there across the country, because they're going to get tired of watching Alabama versus Clemson. We need a little bit more, you know, to throw some things in there, you know. Let the conference champions in and, you know, let them into the party a little bit.
More money for the NCAA, too. I mean,
makes too much sense.
More TV money, too, I'm sure.
Absolutely.
But I'm excited. September 1 is when my dogs play. I don't know about your dogs, but my dogs kick off October 31st, I should say, on the road against Vandy. What about your Mississippi State Bulldogs?
We are on the road at Louisiana Lafayette in the Superdome, so I guess we get a tougher opponent than Georgia does to open the year.
Yeah, but also college football, I think, starts the 24th, that Saturday. Is it Florida and Miami, I think, that kick off? Florida and Miami. So a lot of great college football games starting off the season. West Georgia opens their season on September the 7th. At Catawba, and we are going to continue to try to build up UWG football each and every week and talk a little bit about college football. And we're going to try to get Stan back on next week's show, because Stan is, first off, a great guy. He's already texted me and said, sorry it didn't work out, call back next week. So hopefully we can get him back on. He brings great insight. He'll talk to us a little more about some high school football region stuff, and next week we'll make it even better.
Absolutely. Hey, it's been fun being here, Matt, and, you know, the atmosphere that we have here at City Station. If those of you that are in the Carrollton area, if you have never been to the Mustard Seed Cafe here at City Station, come by and see us.
Yeah, absolutely. So, Aaron Sohn joining me again this week. Want to run down our sponsors one last time before we get you on the road. The Team SMI starting lineup is presented by SMI. Of course, Amy Brown, State Farm, Edward Jones of Carrollton, Douglasville, and Villa Rica. Hope you're having fun in Hawaii there, Derek. Osier Apparel, Southland Insurance, West Georgia Plumbing and Septic, and West Georgia Technology Repair. Thank you guys for listening live on KISS 102.7 and watching on the Gradic Sports Facebook page. Any last words, Aaron?
That's it, man. I'm hungry. I'm going to go eat.
All right, I'm going to go get some food as well here at the Mustard Seed Cafe. We'll see you guys next week right here on Kiss 102.7 and the Gradic Sports Facebook page.
Thanks for listening to the Team SMI starting lineup, presented by Team SMI and brought to you in part by State Farm Agent Amy Brown, Edward Jones of Carrollton, Douglasville, and Villa Rica, Osher Apparel, Southland Insurance, West Georgia Plumbing, Septic, and HVAC, and West Georgia Technology.
It's
Thanks
50
for
minutes
listening.
fast.
And remember to join us next Thursday night at 7, live from the Mustard Seed Cafe at City
It's nice
Station.
when I'm live or when I'm late.
This has been a presentation of Gradic Sports.
David, you there? David, can you hear me?